another person who's in the news for completely snapping and losing it, at least what it looks like, was Antonio Brown. And those of you that don't know who Antonio Brown is, he's a person who had played for the Raiders. He lost his position there on the Raiders and was a free agent or out of the NFL for a while. He had a very toxic relationship with his child's mother, on social media, where he was shaming her and she was doing certain things, kicking her out the house and so forth. They ended up getting back together. And then he eventually got a job back in the NFL with one of the other teams. He was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So a lot of people online were saying that he deserved to have another job. Floyd Mayweather was one person that advocated for him to get another job. He got a job. And then this week he walked off the field, taking off the jersey and pretty much throwing it down, which I thought was so poor taste, regardless of why he did it. It was just not cool. Um, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of people
I
question
just
whether or not he
froze,
should have his
guys.
job back, and at this point, I say no.
Whoa. I think he should absolutely have his job back because he produces. He produces on that field. The things they care about, he does. I think when it came to the situation with his child's mother, and it looked like he was starting to endanger her, that's a little bit more. You gotta be a little bit more critical with that. But when you think about as far as him endangering himself on that field, as long as he's catching those footballs and making touchdowns, they're not going to just cut him like that. Like him doing those
Right,
antics.
but is that enough? Because let me tell you, if one of my employees just in the middle of a show threw up their arms and said, "I'm out," and took off their Hollywood Unlocked shirt and threw it, I'm sorry. I don't care how good you are. You are gone. Because see, the thing is then now it sends a message to the rest of the employees that that's accepted behavior, and it sets the bar for what people can do in the workplace. Because now you can't go do something different with somebody else than you did with them, because then you could be sued for disparate treatment. So it's one of those things where he may be a great employee or a great player, but he put himself out there regardless of what the outburst was for. It's not like he found out his mother just died of COVID and he's rushing out of there to go find out what's going on. He made a spectacle of himself and the team in the middle of the game, and the world watching that.
Mhm.
I mean, how do you come back from that? And just because
Well,
you catch
I'm
balls,
gonna tell you
just because you
how.
catch
Here's the thing.
balls,
Here's the thing,
come back.
Tell
guys.
you
He's
how.
he's mentally ill though, guys, and this is the part that I think this is the difference between him and a Jason Derulo.
Allegedly, allegedly.
He's allegedly mentally ill, but I would say as somebody I've had to write about him extensively, I feel very comfortable personally thinking he's mentally ill. And because there is some mental issues, even Tom Brady, who we know is not the most cuddly person in the world, shout out to the New England Patriots, he even came out and said, this actually isn't a spectacle. We have to show him compassion because he's not well. And so when people who are knowing him behind the scenes are like, yeah, this is different. This is not him just having a fit. He's actually not okay. I think we need to stop talking about him playing football and talk more about him getting the help that he needs. I think Antonio Brown needs help. A lot of people think he needs help who work with him day in and day out. So for me, this is more of a mental health issue and not just somebody snapping in the middle of work.
Tom Brady also supported Trump, so I don't want to hear anything about that. But look, his
But
responsibility to himself and to people around him when you have mental health disorders. I have family members that suffer from mental health. I suffer from mental health issues, right? It's the individual's responsibility to seek out care and seek out help. You
Exactly.
don't
Yeah.
get to not have help and have all these public episodes and then cry wolf and say, "Oh my God, poor me, poor me." No, you fought hard to get back in the NFL, which I didn't believe he should have been kicked out in the first place. You then publicly humiliated your child's mother and did things that were very, very scary towards her online. You made a mockery of that relationship. People advocated for you to get your job back, and then you came back and you did that. Yes, if mental health is real in his life and it's a real situation, because I'm still going to say alleged, because regardless of my personal opinion, I ain't about to get publicly sued for it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if his alleged mental health is what led to that, and he can come back and publicly apologize, take ownership, show he was in treatment before and he had just had an episode, that's one thing. But if he can't show all of that and he don't apologize, I'm sorry. Bring back Cap. That's who I want to see get a job. AB, yeah, you catch balls. There's other people out there that catch balls.
Bring back Cap.
no,
Football.
no, it's not, and this is why. I agree with all you saying. First of all, the NFL don't care anything about nobody's mental health, so we're not going
Nope.
to act like that's going to be a concern for them. Tom Brady wants Antonio Brown there, so Antonio Brown's going to be there. The biggest spectacle in football history. Tom Brady says, "I want him on my team." As long as Tom Brady has his back, he's going to stay on that team. The Buccaneers don't want him there in the first place, so you got to think he's already cut. If it wasn't for Tom Brady putting his chest on the line because Tom Brady want to win games, there would be no Antonio Brown. They've been done with Antonio Brown, but it's Tom Brady that's saving.
There's
If
that part.
Tom Brady, there will be no Antonio Brown.
There's that part. So LeBron James has a show on HBO Max. I forgot what it's called, but you need to go watch it. It's a good
Shop Talk
show
or something. It's really good.
where they're in a barbershop having conversations. And Tom Brady, I just watched it on my way to Dubai, and Tom Brady was in there talking about, how he kind of does his Tom Brady thing. And he said his whole thing is all about winning. So on one hand, it's not all about caring about the mental health, but on the other hand, is it all about winning? And that's why you want it back, regardless. Yes, if Tom Brady says, we should have compassion. Let's bring him back. Are you fighting for the team to give him the care that he needs? Or are you fighting to have him back on the team so you can get another ring? Some of these people who are really competitive, it's all about winning at every cost. And it could be also at the cost of Antonio Brown. But more importantly, and this is no shade, I really don't care what no white man is saying about how we behave in public. We have to criticize and hold ourselves accountable because we are all one. Antonio Brown is me, is you, is Colin. There's not one conversation happening in the sports world of football where it's about black people and them being a part of this slave trade that we know as the NFL.
Yep.
Or these teams that we have identified as plantations, right? Like there's a bigger conversation happening. And so when you see the spectacle happen and that be permissible, but then you taking a quiet knee on the field and it not, there's a bigger conversation for me that should be had. And I'm sorry, AB, if you and your breakdown is the precipice of this bigger conversation, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to call this tolerable if somebody's standing at the side of the sideline who's just simply standing up for our culture is banned from the whole NFL. Like, it's just not cool.
I'll be
But that's
real.
just my opinion.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
two truths can coexist. So I think in this case, this is a perfect example of that. In my opinion, and I'm saying that this is allegedly, he allegedly has a mental health issue, and a lot of football players do. So the probability is actually very high. And Tom Brady wants to win. Those two truths can be coexisting. So Tom Brady weaponizing that or cultivating that or leveraging that to win doesn't mean that he's still not sick. And so I would love it if somewhere in the mix he does get the help that I think that he needs.